Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I got a request from one of you guys to film this video. I'll try to find the comment and put it on the screen, but it's been a while since I've updated you on my most repurchased products in each category. If you watch my videos, you might know my answers to quite a few of these, but if not, I wanted to share the products that I repurchase over and over. Now, when it comes to certain categories like lip gloss or highlighter, I very rarely finish up a product. So instead of sharing my most repurchased specific product or shade, I'll share my most repurchased formula. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I do want to say thank you to Audible for sponsoring a portion of today's video. I am so excited to be working with them because I love Audible. I've been using it for years at this point, and I have downloaded so many audiobooks. I'll kind of scroll through and give you guys an idea of what I like to listen to, but I listen to Audible multiple times a day when I'm getting ready in the morning, when I'm brushing my teeth, when I'm doing my makeup. I just recently finished an audiobook called Evie Drake Starts Over by Linda Holmes, and it was so good. It is a romance novel, and without ruining too much for you guys, I don't want to ruin the surprise. It's about a woman who loses a relationship, a major league pitcher who loses his job, and they just have to navigate life and relationships, and things are crazy and messy, but the main character, Evie Drake, is so relatable. She has her issues, and she's trying to deal with them just like all of us. And it's also set in Maine, so it's just so cozy. I've always wanted to visit Maine, and I just loved the feel of the entire story. So I definitely recommend that one if you're looking for something to unwind to or listen to throughout the day. Audible's actually been providing a lot of additional content since a lot of us are at home with some additional free time. So if you are a member, instead of having to choose from 2 of the Audible original monthly selections, you can now download all of them in addition to your 1 free audiobook each month. And on top of that, they're actually offering some free content. They recently launched stories.audible.com where anyone can go on and stream stories for free. There are no strings attached. You don't have to be a member. There is no app. There are no ads. And they have a lot of great options, whether you're looking for a story for your children, for your teens, or for you personally, which I think is amazing. So I wanted to share that with you guys as well. Now, if you do want to try the audiobook that I mentioned, Audible is giving my subscribers a 30-day free trial, which is awesome, especially right now. All you have to do is go to audible.com/AndreaMatiliano or text Andrea Matiliano to 500-500 for a 30-day free trial, which includes 1 free audiobook of your choice and then access to unlimited Audible originals. So thanks again to Audible for sponsoring today's video. If you guys try it out, let me know which audiobook you choose. I would love to hear your recommendations, but let's jump into the rest of the video. Okay, let's kick it off with face products. I think that when it comes to specific categories, face products or base products would be my most repurchased products overall. Typically, when I find a foundation or a powder that I love, I use it up completely and then I repurchase it. So I would say that I go through these fairly quickly compared to other categories in my collection. So my most repurchased primer would definitely still be the Smashbox Photo Finish Primerizer. It takes me a while to go through primers because typically I like to have a few different options depending on what my skin is like that day or what foundation I'm using on top of the primer. But the Smashbox Primerizer works so well with any foundation. It just moisturizes your skin so beautifully, so it gives you a very healthy, natural glow, and every single foundation that you wear on top goes on so nicely. At this point, I have found a good affordable alternative. The Catrice Aqua Fresh Hydro Primer is very, very similar, and I've enjoyed that one just as much. But over the years, I have repurchased this quite a few times. It is a little bit more of an expensive primer, but it just works so well to prep my skin before I apply foundation. My most repurchased foundation is something that I actually recently repurchased. It is the Fenty Pro Filt'r Soft Matte Longwear Foundation. I've repurchased this foundation in a couple of different shades, but recently I did use this one up completely. The shade 140 is kind of my go-to. It's a little bit light for me during the summertime, but the undertone just works really well because it is more of a yellow undertone, which is what I prefer. This foundation is a super full coverage, long wearing matte foundation. I love wearing this on its own, but I also love mixing it with other foundations because it's such a great starting point. Because it does have great longevity and great coverage, if I mix in a little bit of a hydrating foundation or a light coverage foundation, I can really easily customize it depending on what type of look I want to go for that day. And it's just a good, staple, reliable formula. I know I can count on this one if I want my foundation to stay in place all day long. So I have repurchased this quite a few times. Concealer is a tough category for me because I haven't really found a concealer for under my eyes that I love to repurchase over and over. I did recently repurchase the Too Faced Born This Way, but that was only the first time I repurchased it. So it's not like I have one concealer that I've loved consistently for years and years that I continue continue to repurchase. So I did include the ColourPop No Filter Concealer because this is one that I've repurchased over and over. Typically, I don't use this as an under eye concealer. I usually use it as a foundation if I want to quickly even out my skin tone, but I don't want to wear an actual foundation. The reason I'll reach for this over foundation is because it's a lot more lightweight on the skin. It doesn't feel like you're wearing foundation and it blends out really well and still gives great coverage. But there are days where I will wear this under the eyes as well, especially if I'm kind of using it as a foundation. I'll apply a little bit more under the eyes to, brighten things up. So in the end, it is my most repurchased concealer, but the reason why I go through it so quickly is because I do typically use it as a foundation. To be honest with you, there were probably 4 or 5 powders that I could have included in today's video, but I chose a pressed powder and then also a loose powder. My most repurchased pressed powder is probably the Flower Beauty Light Illusion Perfecting Powder. I wear the shade Porcelain, which I think is the lightest shade, but I really like this powder because it just gives your skin a very smooth appearance and it does add a little extra coverage. It makes your skin look very blurred. I love to use this powder if I'm using more of a light coverage foundation or even a medium coverage foundation, because if I go in with this to set it into place, it just adds a little extra coverage and gives everything more of a perfected look. I don't typically use this alongside of a full coverage foundation because it can be a little bit much, but I also love using this as a touch-up powder throughout the day. If I look in the mirror and my skin's extra oily or my foundation is starting to come off, this is perfect because it adds a little extra coverage, it mattifies the skin, and it's just such a beautiful formula. So I've gone through quite a few of these. That being said, I also wanted to include a loose powder because I've repurchased the Too Faced Peach Perfect Mattifying Loose Setting Powder quite a few times over the years, at least 3 or 4 times, and that's a lot for me because you get a lot of product in here. You get 1.23 ounces, and a little bit goes a very long way. So the fact that I've used it up and repurchased it over and over definitely goes to show it is one of my favorite products, and I just enjoy it. I kind of go through phases where I love loose powders and then I love pressed powders, so it always kind of depends what I'm going for. Right now I am into loose powders, and I recently used this up, but I'm trying to use up my Fenty powder before I purchase another one. So I do enjoy this. I will definitely repurchase it again at some point, but I'm trying to make a dent in a couple of other powders. Let's move on to cheek products. So when it comes to blushes and highlighters, I never use up an entire blush or highlighter. In fact, I don't think I've ever hit pan on a blush or a highlighter. I'm working on my Becca highlighter in the shade Champagne Pop, and by the time I do my next Project Pan update, I will hit pan on that. I am determined. I think I'm just very light-handed when it comes to cheek products, and I like to switch it up really often. So instead of choosing one product that's my most repurchased, I chose a formula. So when it comes to blush, my most repurchased blush would definitely have to be the Hourglass blushes. What's weird is that I'm not really into the Hourglass bronzers, but I love their powders, I love their blushes. So anyways, I do have quite a few of these. I will say that if you're trying these for the first time, a mini blush is definitely going to be sufficient. I wish that I had purchased additional minis, and the problem is not every single shade comes in a mini, but in the future, if I do try another one, I'll definitely be buying a mini because these powders, how do I explain it? They're very hard powders. So you can use it over and over and you'll barely put a dent in it. So I definitely recommend picking up the minis. That way you can save some money and still get the chance to try them out if you do pick them up. But my favorite shade is Brilliant Nude. I am wearing this one today. It's just a very subtle blush, but it gives your cheeks like a natural, healthy glow. And they do have quite a few to choose from. They have matte blushes, and then they also have what they call strobe lighting blushes, which do have shimmer in them. But these are my absolute favorite. If I had to get rid of all of my blushes and just keep one formula, I would keep these. They just perform so well. So when it comes to highlighters, I was going to mention the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfectors because over the years, I would say that is my most repurchased formula. I do have quite a few of those, but when I was thinking about it, it's been a few years since I've purchased a new shade. So excluding that formula, I would say that my most repurchased formula lately has been the OFRA highlighters. Now I only have 3 of these shades, but when it comes to my highlighter collection, I really don't have a lot of brands where I own multiple shades, and I would consider purchasing more of these because I enjoy these so much. They're just very lightweight, really easy to work with. Typically, they are very intense and blinding on the cheeks, and I will say that more often than not, I go for something a little bit more subtle, but when I'm in the mood for a super intense highlighter, these are perfect. So when it comes to lip products, I don't buy a lot of new lip products these days, just because I do have quite a few in my collection, and I take forever to use up a lip product. It takes me like an entire year of focusing on the same formula over and over to actually finish it up. But there are a few categories where I will repurchase the product if I run out of it, if it expires, or if they release additional shades because I enjoy those formulas so much. So when it comes to lip liners, my go-to lip liner, really the only formula that I use, would be the ColourPop Lippie pencils. These are so perfect because they are affordable and they have so many shades to choose from, whether you're looking for nudes or pinks or reds, and they have colors that will work for all skin tones, all preferences. The reason why I like this formula so much is because it is a creamy lip product, so it goes on very easily. It glides onto your lips. There's no tugging, they're not dry or uncomfortable, but they also lock your lipstick into place all day long. So I have a couple of shades that I repurchase over and over: BFF, BFF2, Oh Snap, Aquarius, but I'll swatch some of my favorites for you guys so you can see what they look like. But if you're looking for a good affordable lip liner, these make a big difference. And if you are a fan of ColourPop lip products, they typically have coordinating shades, which is really convenient. Speaking of ColourPop lip products, I will say that the ColourPop Lippie Sticks are my most repurchased lipstick. These are very similar to regular cream lipsticks from any brand, but for some reason I like these so much better. I feel like they have some mixed reviews, and at this point ColourPop has so many different lip product formulas. They have glosses, lipsticks, liquid lipsticks, but I still love their original Lippie Sticks, and I've repurchased these quite a bit over the years. They're just very creamy, very comfortable. I feel like they're so rich, so you don't need to layer them up to get really good pigmentation, and on top of that, they're really comfortable and they last really well. My most repurchased lip gloss formula would definitely be the Fenty Gloss Bombs. I don't even know where all of mine are because this is the type of formula where I have it everywhere. I have it at my vanity, at my desk, in my purse, in my car, so I tend to lose them and then find them and then lose them again. But I love this formula so much. It's the perfect gloss and it's just so beautiful, so comfortable, shiny. I'm wearing the shade Fenty Glow today, but as long as they keep releasing additional shades, I'll keep buying them. And the thing about this formula is that it's a sheer formula, so there's not even a big difference between all of the shades. But I just love the formula so much. I love the scent. I love how it looks, that as long as they keep coming out with additional shades, I will definitely keep buying them. I just enjoy them so much. So these are without a doubt my most repurchased glosses. Let me finish up with just a few eye products. So I wasn't sure what to do for eyeshadow. I wasn't sure if I was going to do a palette or a brand, but I think that honestly, when it comes to all of my eyeshadows, my most repurchased eyeshadows would be the ColourPop Super Shock Shadows. I think that I tried my first ColourPop Super Shock Shadow back in like 2014, 2015. It was such a long time ago, and over the years, I have continued to repurchase these. I still have a pretty large collection of these, and again, kind of like with their Lippie Sticks, they don't release a ton of new shades, but on occasion, they will add like one or two to their new collections, and I love them. I think they are so gorgeous. I still wear mine all the time, at least once or twice a week. I'll reach for a ColourPop Super Shock Shadow, probably even more. This formula is just so easy to work with, and it looks so pretty on the eyes. I especially love like the metallics and the ultra metallics because they just look like you put a ton of work into your eyeshadow look, and you can take a matte shadow, blend it into the crease, and then place this all over the lid, and it just looks a lot more in depth than it actually was. So these are perfect. They stay in place all day for me, and they're just gorgeous and so fun to use. I'll kind of go through these last products kind of quickly because I talk about them all the time, and you're probably sick of hearing about them on my channel, but if you've been around for any length of time, you probably know that these are my most repurchased products. So my most repurchased mascara is definitely the Essence Lash Princess. I think the CoverGirl Exhibitionist is kind of coming in close, but this one is still my most repurchased. I've repurchased it probably like 9 or 10 times, even more throughout the years. I feel like I always have to have this in my collection because it just gives my lashes that added length. I want to say that my most repurchased liner was probably the Physicians Formula Eye Booster, but I haven't repurchased that for a while, and there is one that's kind of taken its place. It's the Urban Decay Perversion. Now, I think at this point I've only repurchased it twice. I got it in PR and then I repurchased it, and then I just recently repurchased it again. So this is my third one, but I can confidently say that I don't think anything will replace this anytime soon. It is a super dark, dramatic liquid liner, and when I can't find this, like sometimes I I misplaced my makeup because I tend to be a little bit disorganized in this room. But if that happens, I will search for this product until I find it if I'm in the mood to use it, because there's nothing like it. It's so dark and dramatic and rich. It stays in place all day long, and it's a little bit more expensive, but I think it is worth every penny. The Anastasia Brow Wiz pencil is without a doubt my most repurchased brow pencil. I don't even know how many times I've repurchased this throughout the years. I am so thankful that this product is typically included in the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty sale, because that's when I will stock up on it and kind of purchase a few to keep me, you know, happy throughout the entire year. At this point, I have discovered some other brow pencils I love, but when it comes down to it, this is my favorite formula. It's pretty expensive, so typically I won't buy it unless it is on sale, because there are a lot of good brow pencils, but I've repurchased it so many times throughout the year because it is my favorite. And then my most repurchased brow gel is definitely the ColourPop Brow Wash Gel in the shade Dark Brown. I used to use the shade Clear, and I did use that exclusively for like a year or two, but then I discovered Dark Brown and fell in love with that one. And this always has to be in my collection. It's great for everyday wear. It makes my brows look so beautiful and full and fluffy, and I just can't imagine I'll find another brow gel that replaces this one. At this point, I am using the Hourglass Brow Gel as well on days where I want my brows to stay in place all day long. But for everyday wear, this one is my go-to. I do have one more product. I totally forgot to mention my most repurchased bronzer when I was talking about cheek products. This is theBalm's Take Home the Bronze. I've repurchased this so many times over the past few years. I think I discovered this in 2018, so it's only been about 2 years, but whenever I use this up, I repurchase it. And it's so weird because I never go through blushes and highlighters, but I think it's because I do switch them out so often, and I typically find a bronzer formula that I love, and I stick with it until I use it up, and then I'll repurchase it. So I have repurchased this probably 3 or 4 times as well. Okay guys, those are all of my most repurchased makeup products. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I actually want to film a video testing out your most repurchased makeup products. I was going to mention this at the beginning of the video and I completely forgot. So if you're still watching, let me know in the comment section below which products are your most repurchased so I can take them into consideration for an upcoming video that I want to film. But otherwise, I hope you have a great day and I'll see you very soon with a new video. Bye.